To really understand how the firewall features work and stuff like that, we're first going to take a look at the edge firewall, and we're going to take a look at a couple of examples of how they work. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the edge ESG that is in the data plane of connectivity. I'm going to come over here to firewall. We have our firewall rules here, right? So typically speaking, when you're taking a look at a firewall rule, you want to be careful as to which ones you're editing, right? So if we were to pull up WinVM1, and I was doing a little bit of testing right before I started this video just to make sure that I had everything, all my information squared away. If I ping Google, I can reach Google via ping, and if I ping google.com, eventually that will begin to work and we'll be in good shape, right? So we know that those things are working. So let me go ahead and do just a high level deny everything, right? So this would be more of a blacklist model where we're going to deny everything and publish. So we're not going to allow anything through the firewall. And then if we want to allow specific things, we would have to explicitly permit them. So now that's been pushed, I should be able to go back over here, hit the up arrow, and come in here and do a ping, and obviously the ping is going to fail. The reason why we're getting the DNS lookup to come in is because it's cached. I take this a step further and go to Google, do the ping to quad 8, and that ping is also blocked, right? So that tells me that nothing is being allowed through. If I come over here and I look at my statistics, you can see that currently everything's, the statistics have gotten wiped since the last time I checked them. But every time there will be a polling period where the statistics will show up and you'll see them being operational. What I'm going to do now is I am going to go over here and set this back to accept, publish, and give that a couple seconds to do its thing. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go and test a couple of options that we have available to us. I'm going to create a new rule. The new rule, I'm going to go ahead and just say win-vm1 block ICMP, where I don't want to be able to ping outbound. So the source, I'm going to be specific to the virtual machine. Come over here and block this. I'm going to say the security group. I'm going to come down, click on the object type, and we're going to match on the virtual machine. I'm going to choose WinVM1, bump that to the right, click on save. Destination is going to be any. The service will be, and I'm just going to do a quick check in here, ICMP, hit the enter key, and I will do a quick ICMP echo. I'm not going to do any of the other stuff. There's a lot of ICMP options here. I'm just going to go and bump that to the right, click on save, and I'm going to deny that, and I'm going to log. I'm going to go ahead and publish that to the right. So everything else should be allowed, right? I should be able to come over here, back to this guy, and I should be able to ping, or I should not be able to ping quad 8. And I'm not able to ping quad 8. If I go to Google, I should not be able to ping Google. However, if I go out to google.com, I should be able to reach google.com. And I can. Because on the firewall rule, pardon me, I am matching on ICMP echoes. So I'm not allowing myself to ping outbound. So that's just a couple of examples right there. Now, if I wanted to go and add an additional rule to where, let's say for example, I wanted to ping, pick this up here, and I wanted also ping WinVM2. Let's do this. Let me go ahead and send control delete, and let me log into this guy real quick. I'm going to go and do a ping from here. I'm going to do an IP config. And I am 172.29.1.15. I'm going to give this guy a second to pull up. And I'm going to go to the command prompt. And I believe this is 172.29 29.1.16. So IP config, there's 16. So if I tried to ping 172.29.1.16, the ping is being dropped, but it's not being dropped because of the Edge Services Gateway. What it's being dropped is if I come over here and I right click on the Networking and Sharing Center, and I'm going to give that a second. I'm going to actually allow ping from the device here. I'm going to go to Advanced Settings and give that a second to pull up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to allow ping to come inbound, because right now the firewall's basically got it blocked locally in the box. There it goes. Click on the inbound rules. I'm going to create a new rule, and I'm going to create a rule that says custom rule. Click on next. All programs, we're going to choose ICMP v4 for IPv4 ping, and then just go through and I'm going to say ICMP _in. Click on finish, and this should be allowed through because I am trying to ping something on the same logical switch as me, right? So because the fact that the Edge Services Gateway is technically 2 hops north of me from the VM attached to the logical switch. Actually, let me draw this out real quick. It's easier to identify when you have a topology in front of you. So we have VM 1 and you have VM 2, right? They're attached to the same logical switch, right? We have the logical switch, and then this guy connects to the DLR. And then north of the DLR, we have the Edge Services Gateway, right? And we have this transit link sitting between the two, and then from him we have the CSR sitting over here. So when I did that initial firewall rule of ICMP block, this VM was sending the traffic out this way. Let me change my color to be red. If I send my traffic out this way, it's going to hit the DLR, go up to the Edge Services Gateway, and my traffic stopped at the ESG. Right now I'm trying to ping, when I was trying to ping from VM1 to VM2, I'm inside of the same logical switch, right? And so the ping is allowed to go through, because the first firewall rule that was sitting on my Edge Services Gateway isn't even getting hit. I'm stopping on my locally in here. Now if I tried to ping some other device, like if I tried to ping from my Windows VMs over to one of the other Linux VMs, this is where the DLR filtering would come into play, and you'd have to do that. Let me go ahead and take a look at exactly what that would look like. Let me go ahead and clear the screen. So that's working. So what I'm going to go do is I'm going to jump back over here. I'm going to go and make sure that I have at least one Linux VM working. And if I look at this guy here, I'm on DLR1 Con 1 and DLR1 Con 1. If I look at LVM1, I'm on the same logical switch. So I'm going to move LVM3 is on a different one. So I'm going to say from WinVM1 to LVM3, I want to block traffic from WinVM1 to LVM3. I want to be able to block that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back over here. So it's going to be Windows to Linux is going to be the flow. We go back over here to Networking and Security. But instead of doing that on the Edge Services Gateway, I'm going to do this on the DLR. On the DLR, I am going to go to the Firewall tab. As you can see, there's less options here. I'm going to add a rule that says this is going to be Win to Linux block ping. And this is going to be a specific rule. I'm going to say the source is going to be a virtual machine. I'm going to say from WinVM1, bump that to the right, to, and you can see the default rule here is a deny. I'm going to go ahead and change that to be, or sorry, to an accept. And then this one here, the destination, is going to be LVM3. LVM3 right here. And save. And I'm going to go ahead and the action, or I'm sorry, the service will be ICMP. Specifically ICMP echo. ICMP, hit the enter key, and then we're going to have ICMP echo. Do that, bump it to the right, Click on OK, and then we're going to drop or deny the traffic, and we're going to log it. I'm going to go ahead and publish that. So that traffic is going to be going up to the DLR and then back down again, right? So I've denied ping. So if I go back to my hosting clusters and I open up the console for LVM3, give that a couple seconds to open up LVM3, I should not be able to ping from let's go over here to LVM1. And if I look inside of here, give that a second to show up. I'm going to go ahead and log into him. I'm sorry, LVM3. I keep looking at the username and it throws me off. But his IP address effectively is, let me close this out real quick, 172.29.2.12. So from LVM1, if I was to ping 172.29.2. I can't even remember, 12. The ping is being allowed through. And it's kind of weird because it shouldn't be, right? Right, the ping should not be allowed from WinVM1 to LVM3, right? If I come over here to LVM3 and I do a open terminal, give that a second. ifconfig IAM 172.29.2.12, right? I should not be allowed to ping that, which is kind of a unique situation, because remember what I was saying, that when I've done the testing for this, that it didn't work on the DLR. My testing, like if I was trying to do inter-VNI routing, or if I tried to do inter-VNI firewalling, it didn't work. So it's kind of a weird use case. However, if I was to go back to my firewall, networking and security, and look at NSX edges, and then I look back at the DLR and the firewall, right, we can see that we're not allowing one to ping the other, right? Now, I also want to go ahead, I'm going to change this, instead of being ICMP echo, I'm going to put in here HTTP, and I want to prevent any type of HTTP traffic from hitting. I want to prevent, let me go ahead and bump that one over to the right. Let's move HTTP to the right. Save that, and I'm going to change the source. So I'm going to say I don't want WinVM1. I'm going to go ahead. I want to match on the virtual machine of LVM3 as my source. Save that, and then I want to make this let's actually make this anything on the logical switch. This guy. So I'm actually going to remove LVM3 from this, and I want to make the logical switch because I know both of my VMs are sitting on that particular logical switch, and I'm going to deny HTTP to connect to either one of my web servers. I'm going to go ahead and click on publish, and that's going to deny that. So what I should be able to do now is on LVM3, go ahead and close out LibreOffice, and I want to ping 172.29.1.15. How did that happen? 172.20 ping 172.29.1.15, and I'm not able to ping it. Right? I can't ping from one to the other. Did I add, is that another option that I added in there? Did I have, that's just HTTP. So that's not working. So I can't even ping it, which is a bad sign. Okay, that one's working. Oh, I know why. That's why. I know why. The reason why this is not working is on, if I jump back over here to WinVM1, or sorry, WinVM2, I don't have, on WinVM1, I don't have that firewall rule in play. Let me go ahead and add that real quick. Let me right click on here, networking and sharing. Let me go to Windows Firewall and do that test, which technically isn't required for me to do it, but I like to do a ping test to make sure that things can ping each other. Ping is good for any network engineer that wants to make sure that things are reachable. I'm going to go to advanced settings, and then I'm going to go ahead and add the ICMP allow. So I'm going to go inbound rules, new rule, and then it's going to be custom, and we're just going to go to ICMP v4, and then next. Let's say ICMP in, and then click on finish. Just like that. Alright, so if I go back over here, let's minimize these guys. If I go back over here and hit the up arrow for 15, 15 is now responding. So I can ping it, but what I should not be able to do, not sure why that's showing up there, I should not be able to open up a web browser to each one of those. And now mind you, I'm not going through a load balancer. I'm going directly to the web address itself. So we're going to give that a second to pull up Firefox. So what I'm going to go do here is I'm going to plug in here the IP address of both servers. We're going to go ahead and do a 172.29.1.15 and hit the enter key. That should be blocked. And it's not being. So as you can see that the traffic is being permitted to anything in that subnet. Even though we're blocking HTTP, it's still being allowed through. Which is why when it comes down to east-west traffic on the DLR, I don't seem to trust it very much. So let's go 172.29.1.16 and I get the IIS server, right? If I come back over here to WinVM1 and I go to here and I type in netstat-nao, I have a bunch of connections opened up from these guys. So I have a couple of connections opened up from the Linux box. So as you can see, even though it says deny, it's still being permitted, which is kind of an oxymoron, even though I'm going from one subnet to the other. It doesn't seem to work. Now, if I was to add in the distributed firewall, this would be a different type of scenario. It would get blocked. So I've found that if you're trying to do anything with inside of the subnet or that's going to be going east-west, that the edge gateway, whether it's a DLR or an ESG, doesn't work well. You have to use the distributed firewall. However, if I was to come over here on LBM3 and say I want the destination is going to be any, let's just get rid of this guy completely and just say save, and we're going to say to any destination and publish. And if I was to pull LBM3 back up and come up here, do another tab on, or I could just do it in here, go to google.com, theoretically speaking, google.com shouldn't show up. Which is kind of, again, it's one of those things where even though I'm blocking on that specific traffic, it's still being allowed through. So the DLR I found isn't very effective in the firewall filtering. Now let me take this a step further back, or a step further up, and go to the Edge Services Gateway and do the exact same firewall rule. So I'm going to go ahead here. I'm going to add a rule. I'm going to call this guy, it's going to be always entered a step above. I'm going to type in LVM3 no HTTP. Right? Some of the rules don't make sense, but I'm going to say the source is going to be, we're going to say the logical switch, so I'll say anything coming from 172.29.2, bump that to the right, click on save, and then I'm going to match on the service of HTTP, and HTTP should be blocked. I'm going to go ahead and block this and block this. Oh, you know why? Actually, I take that back. So now that I'm thinking about this, it probably wouldn't have worked anyway. Let me go back to and say deny. Actually, I'll keep this on accept for the moment and go ahead and publish it. But let me go back to the DLR. I think I know where I made my mistake. Let me go back to the DLR, onto the firewall, and I'm going to change this to be HTTP or HTTPS. So I'm going to put in HTTP here as well. And we'll pull HTTPS over as well. So HTTP, HTTPS, bump that to the right, click on save, and then publish. If I pull LVM3 back up and I close this guy out and I go to, let's say, YouTube.com, which I know is going to be a secure website, YouTube is pulling in. And there's a lot more stuff here. So let's go back to Google, where I know it's, and if we go to, say, dogpile.com, something that I know is a new lookup. Dogpile doesn't look like, and it looks like it's going to work. So even though I've got HTTPS turned on and I'm trying to say deny, it's not allowed to go, the DLR doesn't do a very good job of doing that. So if I go back over to the Edge Services Gateway on the firewall, and I come over here and I say deny and log, publish the rule, hopefully the Edge Services Gateway will block it. Let me come over here and let me close this tab out. Come over here and do, let's go to yahoo.com. I'm trying to think of new lookups to do. And Yahoo is allowing that traffic to go through as well. So even though I'm blocking HTTP and HTTPS, it's still coming through. So like I said, it's kind of a, if you're going to do specific things, if you want to do URL-based filtering, that's a whole other thing. If you're trying to block based off of HTTP or HTTPS, as you can see, it's not very effective here. So kind of a hit or miss kind of deal. As you can see, we're failing on the application level inspection. So I'm going to go ahead and close that out because we're done looking that up. But as you can see, it's kind of a, it's hit or miss. Now that's on Linux boxes. Let me go try this on, let me go ahead and add here the logical switch of this guy. Let's add in the other one. Bump that to the right. And again, we're just testing this out to see if it's going to work. This will open up the Windows box and see if the Windows box is affected by it. Let's go back over to WinVM. I'm going to go ahead and open up Firefox, and I'm going to come over here and I'm going to go to, let's go to dogpile.com. And we can see it's pulling up just fine. So it's kind of a unique situation where you're trying to do this type of stuff where you have to be really careful on how you're doing it. So I found that the DLR is good for some things, or I'm sorry, the firewall on the edge is good for some things, not great for others. So as you can see, I am trying to match on traffic to wherever it's going to go, and it's problematic. So we did have one successful test when we did the ICMP echo, and that ping was blocked, stuff like that. So keep these things in mind as you're moving forward and doing your blocks and things like that. It's kind of a unique type of situation that we're having to deal with. You can do a blacklist model where we're coming in and specifically trying to lock down traffic, or you can do a whitelist model where you block everything and explicitly permit other stuff. So an example of that would be a deny here. Go ahead and publish that real quick. And then what we're going to go do is I will change the rule here. Take these to the, bump these to the left, save. Come over here to this guy and bump this to the left, save. And what I want to do is I want to say, if I am coming from, let me go ahead and get rid of HTTPS is fine. Let me change this one to be DNS. Go grab both of those, bump them to the right, take the echo, take it to the left. Well, actually, echo is fine. I'll leave echo there. Save it. So I'm going to say from any source to any destination, as we're going to either the internet or doing DNS or pings, go ahead and permit. this would be a whitelist model where we're specifically permitting traffic to come through. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to rename this guy to be HTTP, and then I'm going to rename this guy to be DNS. Go ahead and publish. And so basically everything else should be allowed. So we come back over here, and I should be able to, actually let me do this real quick before I do that. Let me go ahead and disable the rules and test first, because then we'll see if our firewall rules are actually taking effect. Let me come back over here to WinVM1, and I'm going to go ahead and close that guy out. I'm going to go ahead and do a quick ping. I'm going to ping to google.com, and it's being denied, right? Because the deny any rule is coming into play. So we know that that's actually working the way that it's supposed to be. So if we can't ping it, obviously we won't be able to reach it any other way. Let me go ahead and enable, and let me do a quick ping from our Linux box as well, just so that I'm being fair across the board. Let me ping google.com, and that one's failing as well. Okay, so we know it's failing. Let me go back over here to here and enable these two firewall rules and publish. They're going to get enabled, and so now that they're in play on the ESG, I'll go back over here to Linux because he was my last test. I'm going to hit the up arrow, and momentarily I should have there it goes. It took a couple seconds to go, but there it is. I'm going to go ahead and open up Firefox, which is should already be open. Well, it's not, but I'll go ahead and open it real quick. While that's working on that, I am going to jump back over here to WinVM1. I'm going to ping Google, and now the ping is going through. If I Control C on that and go to the Start menu and pull up Internet Explorer and close that guy out, I'm going to go over here to google.com. Google.com pulls up, right? Let's go back over here to Linux VM1. I'm going to go to Google, and Google should pull up pretty quickly here. Google pulls up. Now, what's cool about this is if I've left this long enough, I should start to see, and I'm seeing traffic being generated, right? I see traffic for web traffic going back and forth, and if I look over on this one, I can see there are packets being sent out for the DNS requests. If I also come over here and look at the statistics, right now nothing's being matched on it. But that just gives you a couple of ideas of how the edge works. So it's up to you and how you want to go about doing it. As you can see, I'm doing my tests and trying to be pretty fair about how I'm doing my testing and what works and what doesn't. Obviously, if you have a specific application, you'd have to put in whatever time you need. But as you can see, the testing is there. If you have a firewall test that you've done and you get different results, please let me know in the comment section below. Until next time, guys, thanks so much for stopping by, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.